Hey everyone, this is Justice here, and I lost the video for this footage. It was over Zoom, and Zoom ended up deleting the video, but it was still a really good interview. Figured you guys might want to listen to it with the art playing in the background, or at least when we're talking about his art style. And so I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe. We're gonna get back to more videos, some events coming up, but until then, I'll see you guys later. And welcome to another episode of the Clean Palette Podcast. I'm your host, Justice Johnson, and today we peel back the paint and reveal the artist perspective on the artist known as Brandon's Art on TikTok. And what is your full name, Brandon?
It's Brandon Cornwell.
And where can they find your art if they want to look at it as the interview goes on?
They can search Brandon's _art through TikTok, or they can Google it. It's pretty much the only artwork that's going to come up when you search it in Google. If you just search Brandon's _art, it's going to be everything that I've done.
So you actually showed up. It's kind of funny how I found out about you. Your wife actually followed me on TikTok. I've been starting a TikTok for about a week and a half now, and her bio shows your art, and I kind of looked through and I thought it was really neat. And so I wanted to get you on to kind of let you talk about your art, how your process gets going, and just yourself in general. So a question I always start off with is, how did you get into art? Like, has it always been a thing? Is it more of a recent venture? How would you say you got into the art process?
Ever since grade school, kindergarten, I've always really enjoyed drawing, trying to look at something and replicate it. And it didn't really pick up, more so heavily until high school. And, once I got into the work field, it was pretty much cast aside for a long time. And I kind of felt like the talent that I had, I didn't need to practice daily. I would only draw when someone was paying for it. And so I stopped for a long time until I found the app, and it kind of changed everything for me.
Are a majority of the pieces that you make on TikTok, or is there a whole well of art that you just don't post?
Yeah, there's a lot of art that I haven't posted from grade school through high school, and then a few pieces here and there that I did before I started using the app. But once I started using the app, really the motivation was the people behind every piece. And then it turned into me feeling like I couldn't do anything but portraits, even though, I can, nobody's stopping me, but that was what I really wanted to do because of the feedback.
Are you more classically trained? Like, did you go to school for art, or is that just a knack that you've always had and it's a hobby that's turning more into a stream of revenue now through TikTok?
Yeah, in high school, when I showed my ninth grade art teacher my portfolio that I already had from before then, he didn't feel like there was a whole lot I could do. So for the first 3 semesters of art in high school, I was pretty much just put in the back and gave more articulate tasks, sculpting and using other mediums that he just didn't feel like what he was teaching in art 1, 2, and 3 was gonna, keep me motivated or challenge me. And so through high school, I had a mentor. My oldest sister's husband at the time was into art a lot, and he taught me a lot of how he would tackle a drawing, or how he would see it. He used Prismacolor, which is the primary thing that I use now, and I really just went from there. I definitely feel like I had an ability that I really didn't learn through teaching. Like people would call it a gift, but I really don't like to categorize it like that, because I feel like it took a lot of practice to get to where I am. When I look at, pages I did 3 years ago, they're nothing compared to what I'm able to do now in the same amount of time.
You brought up Prismacolor. For those who like don't know what Prismacolor is, can you explain what Prismacolor is?
Sure. It's a really expensive color pencil for one. If, if if you're just starting out, I wouldn't advise buying them because they are expensive. You can get the same result from like an Arteza or something cheaper, at least while you're starting out. But it's an oil based soft core pastel. And so it really gives you a lot of blending power on the page, depending on how much build you have to your paper. And so it really gives me what I want when I'm trying to blend, that other color pencils just can't achieve. And there's also a huge category of the colors. There's a lot of colors to choose from, so you can have 15 or 20 shades of green on one page.
I saw one of your posts. You said you were using 150 different Prismacolors. Uh, which portrait was that? Do you
Yes.
recall? Or
Yeah, it was just a drawing of a lion that I actually did during the lapse. And I just picked the very first pencil up and moved from left to right and used every pencil on the shelf.
that is incredible. Um, so as we're talking about your art style, how would you, if somebody who was blind or has never seen your art, how would you describe your style to them? If you had to like try to describe your style in words.
Well, I think I get a lot more out of a drawing if I know the person or the piece behind it. Um, if I know that, I can. I think TikTok has an amazing thing being able to pair the sound with the art in a way that speaks volumes to the people, which is in a lot of ways why I keep doing and really love what I'm doing through the app. Is it gives people something that I just I really have no words for, and so um,
I like I like that. I like the how you're pairing the sound. It's a multi sensory thing that you got going on is what you're kind of saying with TikTok. And I didn't really think about that, like the music or sound that you use kind of paired with it being a big aspect. So one thing I gotta ask is what are some of your biggest hurdles as an artist right now? Like either creativity.
well, yeah, getting outside my comfort zone is the biggest thing. I would say even this video here, I keep feeling like I'm getting off track um, and forgetting the question because I'm getting too tied up in trying to explain the answer.
So when you're trying to like get out of your comfort zone, what are some tips that you have for someone else trying to kind of expand or whatever? What are some tricks that you have seen to work so far?
I haven't, honestly. The meaning getting out of my comfort zone, meaning putting myself out there more. I feel like if there was something wrong with my videos, it's the repetition of every one being a time lapse, and it seems like through the app, people want to see the artist that's doing the work, and I just have trouble working those things in together.
I get that. So I think that will probably kind of wrap up just some of the origin story of you and how your art's kind of going so far. I would like to bring up some of your actual pieces that you sent me. You have sent me 3 different pieces, and let me pull those up real quick. Got them right here. Let's just go kind of right down the line, the ones that you've shown. This first one that you wanted to talk about was an oil painting that you did 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, that would have been 2011. Where does that put you? Like, what mindset are you in 2011 while making this piece?
In 2011, I had just met my now wife, and um, she she really supported my art in every aspect, and it's one of the pieces that is still around from that time frame, you know, with all the different moves and this and that. And it also has a lot of story behind it itself. There was a woman painted standing in the water there, but the proportions were wrong. And so I completely covered that. And you can't see it, but there's just a lot behind the painting that nobody would know unless it was, you know, more detail, the story behind the work.
How large is this piece? And for those listening right now, this piece depicts a beach setting with a horizon in the background. It looks like it's either sunset-ish time, like a dusk kind of feel. The sky is red with some purplish black clouds kind of floating around. How large is that piece?
So the piece is 48 by 24, I believe.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want that shot, but
that is massive.
The lady was standing here, and there was, you know, footprints going into the water. But again, like I said, I didn't like the proportions, and I painted over it. But there's more behind the drawing itself or the painting itself, and it also took at least 3 or 4 months for it to dry because it had so many layers of oil paint on it.
Oil is such a weird medium for me. I just did my first piece in oil, maybe at the beginning of the month. And it honestly, because I typically work with acrylic, and I don't know if you're the same way, but I'm used to like, not same day results, but not as much drying time. It was such a mind game for me to take a break and try to come back and match the color or do whatever I was doing. I wonder if I can flip that real quick. That is an oil painting that I did recently, but that is the only one that I've ever done. Oil painting is very interesting to me because of the way that you can blend colors a lot better than you can with acrylic. And I imagine that's kind of why you like the Prisma pencils rather than like a normal pencil, is like the oil aspect to it. Do those take longer to dry?
Right.
Or do they have like a extended drying time, or no? Just like
the Prismacolor?
Mm-hmm.
No, they're just normal pencils.
Just normal pencils? Because I was wondering when you talked about the oil aspect to them. I guess we should move on to one of your portraits. This next one you said was of Chris Olpen. Who is Chris Olpen?
He's a TikTok. He's a creator on TikTok that I really admire. And in this particular sketchbook, I had already drawn maybe 20 or 30 other creators through the app when I drew Chris. But he spends a lot of time editing videos and doing effects in his videos that take a long time. He puts a lot of effort in, and TikTok really doesn't show him the appreciation that he should. He's got a few that went viral, but they really all should with the amount of work that he puts in. But setting that aside, he really supported my page before I ever drew him. And that particular drawing, you know, I've drawn about 140 creators through the app, and he's just one of the many that have been extremely supportive and still supports my page to this day.
Where did that fall? Like, was this paint or was this sketch kind of towards the beginning of your 140, or is it closer to the end of your 140? Like, where does this lie?
I think I probably drawn about 30 or 40
before this one.
He was before. Yeah, he was before the last book, and the last book was 64 pages, and I think he was somewhere in there around page 30 or 40. But this is actually the fourth sketchbook that I've been working on since I started using the app in beginning of 2019.
So you started at the beginning of 2019 using TikTok? Nice. And then we get to this last one, and it is of a Norwegian artist. I saw this TikTok, and a question that somebody posed was, how in the world were you drawing two 2 images at once. That was something that people really were interested in.
As an artist, I know, and I'm speaking for the majority. It's hard to be proud of something that you're doing. You know, you work on it and you look at it, you see all of the errors, you see all the things you're unhappy with, and because he is such a substantial artist himself, I really felt it necessary for me to push myself outside my comfort zone, and try to use both hands simultaneously, working on 2 different pieces of him, one in negative space and one in positive space. And I can't get all that into a bio for the video, but him being the artist he is, he knew what it took to achieve that, and I was extremely happy with both pieces. And I didn't show the Chris piece, but I have it here, and I have the one of Kim Holm in negative space, just using white Prismacolor on black Stonehenge Aquabar cold press.
So I noticed that you are left-handed. Are you ambidextrous or are you strictly left-handed? Because you drawing both at the same time was really interesting to me because of the fact that in all of the other videos you are only using your left hand.
Honestly, that was the first time I had tried. I didn't go in for any real major detail with my right hand, using both at the same time. And I didn't use my right hand for the sketch for the sketches, because I wanted it to be as accurate as possible.
Mm.
But even still, for at least 2 to 3 of the 5-hour time lapse, I was using both hands on both drawings. So to me, that was, going outside my comfort zone with my own artistic ability, and, trying to show him the appreciation that I have for him being the artist that he is, and wanting to invest in my own ability meant a lot.
So, would you ever consider doing like challenges while doing your sketches for TikTok? Like doing one where you have only one hand, or maybe other things like a blindfold, or you have to pick your colors under at random, like people just send in random numbers and you got to kind of draw whatever it is. Would you consider doing challenges for your page, or are you? Because the one of
Oh yeah, I mean,
the one that you did right-handed was phenomenal. I looked at that one before I looked at the one on the left because I watched it several times, and I always go back to the one on the right with the positive space.
yeah. Yeah, and even still, the left hand was used some on the right page,
Okay.
and vice versa. So, there's with 5 hours of a time lapse, there's so much to cram down into
Mm-hmm.
minutes.
How long
So
does
you miss some.
how long does your typical piece kind of take?
It really depends on the detail. Some pieces I've finished in as fast as 3 hours. Some of the drawings in the latest sketchbook, but there's been one in particular I spent 8 hours on. So it really depends on the amount of detail, or how tricky it is for me to get the sketch down pat.
TikTok, I've only been on here for about, I think I started last Monday or last Sunday. And the interesting part to me is the amount of effort that you have to place, especially as an artist or a creator, compared to the result that comes out, through whether it's the algorithm or it's just the luck of the draw. Because you have most creators on the For You page that are just talking or telling a story. And don't get me wrong, that takes some effort, that takes some time, but it doesn't nearly take the amount of time as your 8-hour sketch. And sometimes if the algorithm goofs or you don't post it at just the right time, you're only getting 200 views, maybe like a few more, you know what I mean? So how do you feel about the amount of effort versus reward with TikTok so far? Like even compared to other platforms, if you want to.
Yeah, it at times it gets really difficult, especially when you come across a video that was extremely effortless, and TikTok decided that they deserved 100,000 views, and you just spent 5, 6, 8 hours. That's not calculating the editing time for a video that only got 300 views. But every time I get down about that, and I really try to avoid posting about it too, because it's like, it doesn't really change. But when I do get down, I go and watch a reaction video of one of my drawings, and that reaction video could have 3 hearts. It doesn't matter. Being able to see a person's reaction to something that a complete stranger I've never met be so overjoyed with something that I did for them makes it worth it, and it's a huge motivator and a huge push to why I keep doing it and why I try to get as many videos in as I can.
Do you try to hit the algorithm at all? I'm just curious. You are almost at 14,000 followers on TikTok, and that is over the period of 2 years. But you're almost at a next big marker. Do you try to hit those algorithm marks, or do you just kind of make your content and post when you want to, or what is your process for showing your artwork to that TikTok world?
Well, I think I do have rules for myself. There's things that I want to do, but I don't change. I feel like it needs to stay consistent, and I get into this overthinking mode where I just stick with what I've been doing and not changing. But I do have a few in there where I change it up, and I see that the algorithm sees that, and it gets more views. It's just one of those things, accepting the change. And also, am I changing for TikTok because I want views, or am I changing because I like the content better? That's more important. For the video to be good, to me, is more important than TikTok thinking it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. A big hurdle for me is like, I've been trying to just show my art more and just get a standard following, because the amount of people that you can gain is very quick if you can like hit those markers. And like throughout my years of doing media and other things, I've tried to hit those markers, or like try to play around with like the mind game aspect of it. And basically I've been making shorthand art, or like sketches and other things that normally wouldn't. Like my spray painting videos have been doing better than a majority of my other videos, but those take the least amount of time. While people might like them more, it is the least effort I have to put in, if I'm going to be completely honest. I don't have to wait that long. Each piece takes me only about like maybe 40 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on what it is. But especially right now, it's colder, so I can't use my spray paint cans the way I usually can. If it's under 50 degrees, you're not supposed to even like really use spray paint. And here in Michigan, it has been 7 degrees, 3 degrees. So like, other than that, like hitting those markers and trying to hit the algorithm, I've been doing more spray paint videos in the cold because I know they do better, but they're the least amount of effort. I've worked on paintings that take me weeks and weeks, but they don't get the clicks. So I was just wondering how you kind of tackled that element. So it was nice to hear that. It was a very humble response and a very grateful response, and that's nice to hear from an artist. I've been trying to reach out to different artists, and
yeah,
some people let their success or like the amount of followers they have kind of get to their head, and it's nice that even when like your videos aren't doing as well, or even when they are doing as well, you stay grounded. I like that about you. I think that
and speaking of art,
what was that?
I was just going to say, with you only having been on the app as long as you have, having your the background that you have, I feel like you will do well. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. Nobody else has tried to do a podcast, regardless of the amount of followers that you have. And I think that is another huge point on how big the community is. Artists helping artists.
And I think that is super important. I've talked to artists all over, and you get different responses. And a lot of people, they had, I think it's important to, while you're still staying true to yourself and while you're still staying in your own mindset for art, because like a lot of art comes from feeling and like how you're feeling in that moment, not getting a big head over it. I've seen a lot of people, whether it's in New York at the gallery I was in, artists I've met from shows, like just different places or just on the street. A lot of people like they have been ghosting recently. I get them. They say that they want to do something. They say they want to collab, and then they fall off the map. They don't return calls. They don't return texts, and that's all said and fine. But artists supporting artists is one of the biggest things that you can do. Whether it's like either buying their work or even just hitting a like and a comment when you're in your free time. So I like that the community on TikTok has been very supportive and like very tight knit, but I haven't been on here long enough for my For You page to really showcase more art, which I'm kind of excited for my page to start filtering more artists towards my way. I had the TikTok community send in some questions, so I would like to pull those up for you, and they are either about your art style or they are about just the creative process in general that you have. Let me pull this up real quick, make sure the sound isn't on. I guess I will start from the bottom. This has to do with your portraits. John CWN6 asks, does he have any tips for faces without using grids? Like the proportion, the making of it.
The tip I have for faces without using grid, something that I do while I'm drawing, I size my artwork on my iMac to the size that I want to draw on my paper, and I use my pencil as basically like a ruler. I take the point of the pencil and I put it where I want it on my screen, and then I basically just use that as a scaling system to keep me from having to spend the time that it takes to grid it out to get a proper layout of where you want your lines.
Okay. Do you have so say that you had to draw a random person just from your imagination. Where do you start first with your portrait?
Uh, with the eyes, it's just one of those things where it's once you get the eyes, everything else kind of falls into place. And if you watch my sketches enough, you'll see if you see any of the sketch, it's the outline of the eyes. Once I feel like I have that or everything is proportionately right with that, I can move on to color. But I try to make sure all of my pencil lines gone by the time I finish the page.
I love that. Then we have, I'm not going to try to pronounce the names. Some of them are very complicated, but we have a TikTok user that says, curious what your favorite art piece is. Do you have a favorite? Are all of them your favorite? Like you would tell your children? Or do you have like one specific one that you look at every day and you're like, that is the one that I love the most?
As far as that goes, in 2019, I had artists from all over the world paint and draw pictures of my wife for her birthday. And although I didn't do any of those particular pieces, those are my proudest group of artworks are the ones that she got to see in that gallery on her birthday. Even though I didn't do them, that's still something I'm really proud of. We got artwork from the UK, from India, all over the world, and it's all of her. So,
Did you have them sent in or were they just like online?
oh no, they were all mailed in, and I actually booked a studio and had them all displayed to take for her to see.
That is incredible. We have another question, and I believe you actually drew this person from their little profile picture. How many years and what keeps driving him to make such inspiring pieces? What brought him to TikTok?
Started years, I would just say 20, but really devoted years, I would say 3 to 5. Because since I've started using the app, I've put in countless hours of practice, and even on and off the video. And then the driving force is definitely the community. I can go 100 reactions and then I get one reaction from my artwork, and it's like, all right, here we go again. It's something that means a lot to me, and I really I can't thank the community enough.
We have another user that asks, how do you get the colors to be so vibrant and well blended?
The blending is all about layers with Prismacolor. You want a really sharp point, and you want uh, my kindergarten teacher used to always say, "Don't forget color in circles," and it's something that I still use to this day. Really light pressure for the areas you want blended, and then just working in layers and doing kind of bringing the color layer up from a white to whatever darkness you want to get it.
We have another user that asks, how long did it take to learn how to draw portraits of people so perfectly? Because I find it hard to draw people and noses. Oh, and their mouth.
Well, I still don't think that I have it down perfectly. I've yet to post that video where it says zoom in really close to your art and show everybody all the fine details, because I see all the flaws.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but I do. I get a sense of once I can look at the drawing and I know distinctively that that is the person in the photo. That that's one of those gratifying things. As far as how long it took, I still don't think I'm there.
Let me see. We have a few more. Which one do I want to go with next? What is your dream art project, and what would you tell your younger self?
I don't know that I have a dream art project. I think right now, Justice, I think I'm living that dream. Being able to have sold the last sketchbook in 19 days, sold out every page before I even finished the 13th or 14th page, to me was like a dream. But yeah, I don't know. And then what I would tell my younger self is you're not perfect and your art is not the best. You need to practice every day. And I would definitely be better if I did that, but I probably wouldn't have listened to myself.
So I'd like to bring up the sketchbook because you open the sketchbook every video and you show all the ones you've done so far. And I'm curious, when did you start selling the pages, and how do you go about kind of assigning pages to certain people?
All right, so I started out. There was 4 sketchbooks, and this is the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
When I started using TikTok, I got a Strathmore, just like the one that I use in this book, except for it was toned gray. And in the first book, I would say, for the next page, tell me whoever's closest to how many hours I spent on this drawing wins the next page. And then so there was challenges, there was nomination videos. For the first 3 sketchbooks, there was nothing but either someone was nominated for the page or I just decided I wanted to draw an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the last sketchbook, I really got serious with it. I was inspired by a guy by the name of Mr. Abracadabra, and I had for page 1, I drew him, and I had him pick page 2, and page 2 pick page 3, and page 3 pick page 4, all the way to page 26. And then from page 26, I shifted it to nominations. So in the last sketchbook, all 64 pages are TikTok creators.
So who do you sell the pages to? Do you sell them to the TikTok creators or just people that are in the comments that would like them?
Yeah, so as far as this sketchbook goes, I made a video letting everyone know that I would pre-sell those pages, and they would be first come first serve. So essentially, the first person that sent $20 for this page, was tagged, and that was their page all the way until page 64. And like I said, and had all those pages accounted for and sold within the first 19 days, which to me is really a dream come true, because I have so many people that want me to draw them or want to see my art. But kind of like I put in all that work to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. I talk to a lot of different artists about kind of knowing your worth and knowing how much to charge for your art. You said that a piece would take you somewhere between anywhere as short as 3 hours and as long as 8 hours. Would you ever consider raising your price of each piece to make it kind of a better hourly rate for you? Or do you think it's more accessibility to your art is important to you?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of so many things. The fact that I drew 115 creators and didn't charge anybody anything for that, to shift to wanting people to pay for it, was kind of a thing that, kind of messed with my own head.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as the page itself goes, I know my time is more valuable than that, but because there is such a great community, and I've built my skill up on all of these people supporting me. I feel like, and also too, let's keep in mind that the $20 page just pays for me to draw the face in the video, and I can send them a printable
Like PDF
PDF for
file.
them. Right. But other than that, it's, I get to sit at my art desk and draw instead of, my full-time job, and people want to pay for that. And so that's really important to me. And then the aspect of wanting to be an affordable artist, because I know how expensive artwork is from buying from so many artists. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that want the art, but they can't afford it. And it's just it's a great price,
Yeah, when I heard that you said $20, it really it shocked me because of the amount of effort that you can tell goes into it. But I know how it is. It's a mind game. I remember my first piece I ever sold, and so a little backstory. I did 2 different spray painting pieces, and then over top of them, I did a little bit of acrylic. And I showed my manager the pieces, and my manager always gives me a little bit of shit here and there. And he's like, yeah, paint me something for my new apartment that I just got. He's like, I'm not going to pay you, but make me something. Or he's like, if I'm going to pay you, it's going to be real little. I was like, all right. And so I made this piece, and I ended up kind of bugging him, and I got him up to $35 for I believe it was like, I'd have to say it was around like 16 inches by 20 inches, something around there. Or maybe it was a little bigger than that. But it wasn't massive, but it was sizable. It wasn't like a little square. And looking back at the amount of like work that I put in, $30 seems like not, I don't want to say nothing, because I'm always so grateful that like another person would want my art. But it's like, man, another person would have definitely paid more if I would have waited or anything like that. And I've slowly begun to, I still struggle with like pricing and like how much I should charge for the amount of effort. Over the summer, it didn't increase too much. I was selling paintings that are 16 by 20 that were $45 at the beginning before I started incrementally like pricing them upward. It's just a weird concept to charge people for art when it's like kind of supposed to be everywhere,
Yeah, and going back to what I was saying about doing so much for free over time, it makes it hard for you to put value on something when they say, well, hey, you just drew my best friend, 3 weeks ago, and you didn't charge them a penny. And so that has a lot to do with the price point. The fact that I enjoy it so much that anyone willing to spend any amount of money on it makes it that much more worth the time. And I enjoyed it so much drawing people without compensation because they were so grateful, the reactions. And yeah.
Do you do any commissions outside of the sketchbook pages, or is it strictly
Yes.
How I don't want to kind of pry at all, but how many compared to, like, how many would you say that you get in a month, or like your average month span?
Well, I'll put it in perspective. I think I've done in the span of 2020, I think I did about a dozen.
Okay.
And then in the first 19 days, I sold 64 pages of January. So
that's incredible.
That in itself just shows you, like, I heard a TikTok sound where the guy's like, people don't value cheap art. And it really bothered me. I didn't, make a video ranting about it, but the fact that he said people don't want cheap art, like, kind of just, bothers me, because people do want cheap art. They want art they can afford, and that itself showed me that, yeah, I might have sold more commissions last year if my prices weren't what they were. And initially I tried $75 for an 11 by 14. That's going to take 6 to 8 hours to complete. If you want it framed, then it goes up to $125. And that's because the frame costs money, and then it increases the amount of shipping. So, that in itself, you're not really paying for the frame and the shipping costs. And so it really kept that price the same, but still, again, 125 or 75 is more than $20.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to go through a few more questions before we kind of wrap it up here. We have a question that says, what is your most important art tool? And then there a follow-up question to... What was that?
I was going to say there is a lot of tools. My kneaded eraser is very important. But with doing portraits, if I don't have white, the Prismacolor white, it's really, really difficult to get the depth that I get in my drawings. And you can see most of the time I start with my white. So that is another really important tool, that particular color, and my kneaded eraser.
Their follow-up question to that is there something that you can't live without as one of your artist tools? Would those kind of fall in the same spot, or do you have one that you just can't part with?
Yeah, I mean, the kneaded eraser, it does fall in that, because I'll have an eraser on the end of my pencil, and I'll look for the kneaded eraser for half an hour before I, yeah.
Let me see if we have some more. The one person asks, when did you know that you had a gift? Was it a gradual progression, or was it natural for you? And then they also said thank you.
The gift, like I said, I don't like to call it a gift, but I definitely seen in the earlier years of school that I could draw stuff a lot faster than somebody else just by looking at it. I could put it on paper, and it's still one of those things where I can do that anywhere I'm at. If I can see it, I can draw it. And I know that's something that it doesn't come that easy for everyone.
I'm gonna wrap this. I'm gonna wrap this up with one last question, and this question is actually from your wife. She likes to ask, as an artist, what are a few things that really annoy you?
All right. Well, since you're wrapping it up, I'm gonna go easy on the answer and just go with when the pencil lead of the Prismacolor pencil breaks. They're really soft. They break really easily, and if you apply too much pressure, it snaps, and then you got to spend another 12 to 18 seconds sharpening the pencil to the proper sharp.
Well, I really appreciate you breaking a pencil on the podcast just to show me your point of what really annoys you. That That means a lot that you would annoy yourself just for the show and to prove yourself. I really would like to thank you for coming on as the second guest on the show. Is there any general tips that you would love to give an artist just starting out or just kind of getting into the game?
I feel like practice is really, really important. Even something as simple as practicing drawing a straight line over and over and over, when you have the time, or you don't feel like you might have an art block or something and you don't really know what to work on. You can be practicing drawing circles or squares or straight lines. Things like that go a long way to getting, if you really want to pursue that as a career.
Well, I appreciate you. This is a point where I'd like to allow you to plug all of the points that you want. Where can they find you? What projects do you have kind of coming up? And
they can find on TikTok right now, and I have my Instagram link in my bio. My wife's currently working up an Etsy shop for me, and you really can go through TikTok, Brandon's _art, to find me through all my other applications. And right now, the projects are finishing the book that's currently sold. I think I will start pre-selling pages for the next book, most likely when I hit the halfway mark at page 32. I'm currently, I'm going to try to go ahead and get page 24 completed tonight. So for at least the next month, or at least 45 days, I will be focusing on finishing the current sketchbook.
Well, I appreciate you coming on so much. And just to let you know, at the beginning of recording this, I believe you were still at 13.9 thousand followers, or I think it was like 13.4. You have officially hit 14,000 followers on your TikTok. So I'd like to congratulate you. I would like to thank you for being on. And this has been another episode of the Clean Palette Podcast. And until next week, stay creative.